Okay, we're going to go ahead and do dog tag tutorial. There's going to be two tutorials for this particular project. The first tutorial, which I'm going to do right now, is the 2D layout of the dog tag. To get started, I want to make sure we're in small object inches. So I'm going to go to File, top of your screen, File New. I'm going to go to small object inches as the template that we're going to use. And again, I mentioned it's going to be a two-dimensional geometry really we're going to be laying out right now, so it's not really necessary to have all four viewports opened up. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on the word top and make the top viewport my active and only viewport at this point. I'm going to go ahead and pan the origin to the bottom left hand corner of my screen, and we're going to go ahead and get started. To draw the dog tag, I'm going to use a polyline command. As we should know, there's a lot of ways that you can access commands. For my beginners, I like to read all the different options that I have at the top of the screen. Under curve, I can go to polyline. There's a flyout, which is a black triangle, and it shows me polyline. So that's one way I can get to polyline. I can also go to main toolbar number 1 on the left hand side of your screen, and I can left click that icon, and that will give me polyline as well. And the third option is to simply just type it into the command line, and that's what I'm going to do. So polyline. Start of my polyline is going to be 0, 0. 0 also works with Rhino. And I'm going to move my cursor. Notice that I have ortho on at the bottom of my screen. Ortho off, I've got all the freedom in the world. Ortho on is locked me into 90-degree increments, and that's the default setting. I'm going to move my cursor to the right, and I'm going to go ahead and type in 1.5, 0, enter. I'm now going to type 2, 0.5, enter. 1.5, 1, enter. 0, 1, enter, and then back to 0, 0, enter. I'm going to zoom extents, this icon right here. I left click on it one time and it'll zoom my part into the screen to the greatest extent possible. Next command can be found in the curve drop down menu, or I could type it in, and it's the rectangle. First corner of rectangle at the bottom of my screen, I have an object snaps across the bottom, and I want to make sure my end object snap is on because I'm going to left click the bottom left hand corner of my dog tag that I've been working on, and I'm going to, it's asking me for the other corner or length. I'm going to go ahead and left click this top right hand corner, if you would, of the dog tag, and that's going to create a nice rectangle. The reason for creating the rectangle is we're going to use it to do our next command, which is offset. I'm going to go ahead and type in offset into the command line, and notice my current default setting, and that's just from the previous offset I was doing. I want to change the setting, the distance, to 0.06. So I could just type in 0.06 in the command line once I'm in the offset command, followed by enter, and you'll notice that that automatically changes my distance here on the command line. It's asking me to select the curve to offset. I just drew a rectangle, and that is the curve that I want to select, so I select it by left clicking on it, and the side to offset is towards the inside of the rectangle, so I left click inside the rectangle. Once I've done that, I can actually delete the rectangle I created previously, because again, as I mentioned, it just drew that to use as a boundary to offset. My grid lines are getting a little blurred here with my drawing, so F7 will turn my grid on and off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so it's a little bit easier for you to view. And then the next step that we're going to work on is creating a circle. So again, I can type in circle on my command line, circle. It's asking me for the center of the circle, and at this point I'm going to type in 1.625, 0.5. And this is a very important point here. I will be using diameter, and it currently is my default setting, and I know this because it's in bold on my command line. However, I could have came in here and all of a sudden it looked like this. Well, This means that if I type something in, meaning the 0.25, I would be doing a radius of 0.25. The problem is I need a diameter, so make sure that you have diameter selected over here on the far left hand side. And I need a diameter of 0.25. There we go. The next step is we're going to go ahead and fillet the corners of our dog tag. So to do that, I'm going to type in fillet into the command line. Same type of thing as what we did with the circle. You need to make sure you change the radius, and I can left click on where it says radius and I could type in 0.1875, or I could also have just typed in 0.1875 followed by enter, and you'll notice that that changes my radius. Select curves to fillet. I'm going to left click on this curve over here on the right hand side, and I'm going to left click on the second curve, and it's now created a nice fillet with a radius of 0.1875 on the far right hand side of my dog tag. I'm going to create another fillet. Anytime you're reusing a command, you hit spacebar or right click your mouse and it'll take you back into the previous command. And with this particular fillet, I'm going to have a radius of 0.125, so I'm going to type that in followed by enter. Curves to fillet, outside top and far right. Spacebar, I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom right hand corner of my dog tag as well. Next fillet is going to be a radius of 0.0625, so I'm going to hit spacebar, takes me back into the command, 0.0625 followed by enter. The top curve of my rectangle, my outer boundary, I should say, the far left hand corner, and now I've created a radius of 0.0625 there. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom left hand corner of our dog tag as well. And the last command we're going to use here, it's a good one. It's called fillet corners. So I type in fillet corners into the command line. When asked select polycurve to fillet, I'm going to actually select this smaller interior rectangle followed by enter, and then it's going to ask me for a radius, and at that point I'm going to type in 0.0625, and what you'll notice is it will fillet all the interior corners at the same time, and that completes the 2D portion of the dog tag.